educators in Pennsylvania. Today, we did a lot of planting of seeds, right? From the moment that we started this morning and had just a little bit of mingling, asking folks to get to know one another, reasons why you're attending the summit, a problem that you wish that you could solve. And we hope that today you got some really good information in regards to how to go about doing that. And one thing that is giving you hope right now as we're gathered for this summit. We were able to hear from Dr. Eric Duncan, who provided us with how states were measuring up in terms of educator diversity. And looking at Pennsylvania's report card, we're not doing so well. But that gives us hope because we have lots of things that need to get done. We have lots of folks here who are willing to roll up their sleeves and start doing a lot of bringing together a lot of people in this space so that we can begin to solve this problem for Pennsylvania. There are 6% teachers of color within our Commonwealth compared to 36% of students who are diverse. We seem to be doing well on one measure though. That one measure, which is target resources to districts and schools to support the efforts intentionally recruiting and hiring a diverse workforce, is really directly connected to the work over the last year and some of the Pennsylvania Educator Diversity Consortium. Today, you found out about our goals, our values, and the framework that we're operating in, and you're invited to be a part of this process as we continue to do this work. Dr. Duncan also shared with us Tennessee as a good example because they have their Grow Your Own programs that have shown success for that state. And he presented us with a couple of things that they were doing that we could likewise take a look at and probably adopt here in Pennsylvania. One thing that, well, a couple of things that he left us with. He talked about looking at the ESSER funding and how they're being used, because that's an opportunity for us to obtain and sustain teacher diversity within our state. We also do need to talk about prioritizing data collection and goal setting. We saw the Stark statistics, and we also saw a map of the various counties in Pennsylvania, the school districts, and which counties were really popping in terms of red and not having teachers of color. So looking at all of this, why are we going to reinvent the wheel when there are others out there who have been successful with this work? Tennessee, the Grow Your Own program, as well as examining how Oregon was able to put an accountability system in place, looking at their data and really working actively to increase in teacher diversity. We can do that too. We heard from you as you interacted with a group in your various groups, answering the following questions. What had real meaning for you from what you learned? And what I took away from that is, the number of students that never had a teacher of color. For myself, I had the opportunity of having teachers of color, and I have to tell you that I never really saw myself in education growing up. Education was not something that I aspired to, even though my parents were educators. But this work is too important for us not to pay attention to. And my opportunities in education have been intentional in trying to help us diversify the pipeline. What surprised you most? One group reported that what really surprised them most was the little progress that we have made in Pennsylvania to address diversity in education. What do you still need to do or to learn? And we paused a little bit a while ago and we took a deeper dive into the CRSE, the culturally relevant and sustaining education competencies, because we need to learn how to infuse that into our classes and infuse it into our programs, those competencies. If success was completely guaranteed, what do you think are bold steps that we might need to take? attractive salaries for teachers. And one other group also shared with us that they thought that we needed to decolonize the curriculum, diversify the curriculum per se. How can we support each other in taking next steps? What unique contributions can we make? Well, we're here in this space for this summit. One thing that we really need to do is to continue to build communities, organizations, and connections to share solutions with each other. Today, we also had an opportunity to hear from our students as well as educators, and they made some really good recommendations that we need to pay attention to. From our students, they recommended school districts need to create welcoming environments for BIPOC teachers that celebrate diversity. We also need to showcase diversity of schools through student demographics. If we knew what the makeup of our students were, would it attract more teachers of color to actually go to those school districts and apply for those positions? They also recommended that the pay is not really attractive for teachers. It's not equitable to other high priority professions. So why would students be attracted to become a teacher? And we need to work on that. Another recommendation was that we needed to create affinity groups to help support and mentor each other as educators. Our educator voices had good recommendations for us to pay attention to as well. They recommended policy and administrative regulations that need to support efforts that extend beyond the life of one dynamic leader. We do have leaders out there that working towards making this change, but we need to put policies that would change the systems after those leaders might have transitioned on to other things. Our educators also recommended that we directly collaborate with each other, right? We need to encourage direct collaboration amongst our teachers, not just to come together when there are problems, but to come together all the time so that we're sharing things out and learning from each other. And especially over the last year and some in terms of COVID, and what everybody has been going through, it's worthwhile to do check-ins with each other, check-ins with our teacher that exist outside of a formal evaluation. Why wait to sit down with somebody for a formal evaluation? Check in, see how they're doing. Today, we also covered the efforts of the PEDC, and I'm gonna go over all of them for you because it's very important that we understand from what Dr. Roy had shared with us, what is our why? What is your why? I know what my why is, and hopefully after all of this, you know what your why is also, and you're willing and you're able to roll up your sleeves and let's start working together on fixing this teacher diversity issue within Pennsylvania. One of our last sessions today really focused on our culturally relevant and sustaining education competencies. We saw what the competencies were. We just returned from breakout sessions where you took a deeper dive into it, but really the competencies were developed with the understanding that all educators, regardless of race, skin color, ethnicity, gender identity, age, nationality, language, class, economic status, ability, sexual orientation, religion, and many other identity markers, we have a responsibility to provide fair and equitable access to all educators, learners, and their families, and the larger ecosystem in which we are all a part of. Donna Marie was able to share out with us the timeline and what we hope to do with the culturally relevant and sustaining education competencies. And you can see what has been put in place over the last couple of months. And I want to say more than a couple of months, a year and some now, in terms of completing the competencies and reporting them out to PDE. So after such an exciting day, I can't wait until tomorrow. Tomorrow, what's up on the agenda is the keynote speaker, again, that we'll hear from Dr. Heather Bennett, who is with the Pennsylvania School Boards Association. We're going to have a policy panel. We're going to talk about policy because, you know, we shared in the chat a lot about advocacy and things that PEDC was doing, as well as some other groups that's out there that's also promoting policies and what kind of changes that we need to happen in order to affect this teacher diversity pipeline. Tomorrow also, we're going to look at data, right? Data-infused conversation. We'll have a data-infused conversation about recent efforts to increase educator diversity in Pennsylvania. And then also, there are going to be some sessions. We're going to take a deeper dive into some of our toolkits. We're going to be able to have discussions on opportunities for using the American Recovery Plan. We're going to create systems of change. There's also sessions on growing ungovernable teachers in a hopeless place and opting in as educators in an age of cancel culture. So we have one more task for you to complete. It's a Mentee Meetup, and I believe the link has been posted in the chat. And before you leave with us this afternoon, we want you to share one idea that was sparked and one shift that you intend to make after today's meeting.
Thank you, Kizzy, for that. 17 people already responded to the Mentee Meter, and I dropped the link in the chat. I've been dropping the link in the chat for a while now, so you might see it show up a few more times, but please go ahead and what you respond to here, how you respond matters to us. We want to hear your voices. I mean, folks are talking about amplifying student voices. The student panel today was really impactful. Hearing from our teachers was impactful. So please continue to contribute to this. Folks are adding really, I think, insightful information that we can use and share back out with you as well.
Can you put it up?
Thank you, Kizzy. Yes, I will share so you can see. Can you see that?
Yes.
Amplifying student voices, move towards awareness, more action in ensuring equity among students of color, reevaluating their own classroom management, having each student exploring their culture and using information to diversify lessons. Folks want to learn more about CRSE and do more with it as well. Speaking up, putting CRSE into action, making bold decisions. Someone has a shift. They want to continually have uncomfortable conversations. So thank you for contributing to that, to this Mentee Meter. And I'm going to leave it up so you can continue to share out. So please just continue to add to it, and we will see you tomorrow.